Behind every smile, there can be hidden struggles and pain. You might be one of those people who are struggling so much, but you put a big smile on your face, even though you feel like you're sinking. Smiling depression, a somewhat new term to describe people who are struggling with high functioning depression, is a lonely battle that many individuals face. Now, in today's episode, we're going to do a deep dive into the topic of smiling depression, exploring what it is and how it affects those who suffer from it. Now, first of all, let me be clear. Smiling depression is not a specific mental health diagnosis, but instead, it's a presentation of depression. Unlike well-known symptoms of depression that you are probably very aware of, those with smiling depression put a big facade of happiness. They may appear perfectly fine on the surface, leaving their inner turmoil hidden from everybody. Unfortunately, this masks the severity of their emotional struggles, making it difficult or even impossible for others to offer support or understanding. And it's important as we move forward to acknowledge these hidden struggles of smiling depression and offer compassion and support to those who are silently battling this condition. They're not lying to you. They're not faking it to deceive you, but instead they feel completely trapped. They often see no way but to keep going and keep pretending. They just keep smiling even though they see no end in sight. They put a smile on their face and they just push through. Even as I address this, it makes me want to cry because I personally have been in this situation too many times. I completely understand the pressure, often self-induced pressure, just to keep going and not complain or look at the bright side or be grateful for what I have, even though I was completely crushed with hopelessness, helplessness, and worthlessness. Now, my hope today is by bringing up this topic, we can create an environment where you feel safe to express your true emotions and then seek help. You're not broken. You're not wrong for feeling this way. And asking for help does not make you weak or bad. You deserve to have support. You deserve love and compassion, and you deserve the time it takes to recover. So let's take a look at the signs and symptoms of smiling depression, because that's important. Smiling depression can be difficult to identify, as I said, because those who experience it often mask their true emotions behind a big smile. However, there are certain signs and symptoms that can help us recognize this hidden condition. One common characteristic of smiling depression is the apparent contradiction between their outward demeanor and their inner emotional state. Usually, I often will say they're usually exhausted. And while they may appear cheerful and happy and successful, like they've got everything perfectly going on, they may be struggling with feelings of hopelessness, helplessness, worthlessness, emptiness, sadness, loneliness, and often thoughts of self-harm or suicide. Another smiling depression symptom is their tendency to keep their struggles hidden from everyone. Individuals with smiling depression often feel a great amount of shame about what they're feeling, and so that they feel like they have to maintain this facade of being happy all the time. They don't open up about it. They feel like they're a burden to everyone around them, and this can add to a sense of loneliness and isolation, which only makes their depression worse. People with smiling depression also experience the same lack of motivation and lack of interest in activities they they once enjoyed like regular depression. And similar to regular depression, they too may withdraw socially. They may have difficulty concentrating. They may experience change in appetite and sleep patterns, stomach problems, but again, they're often exhausted. And these symptoms, when combined with the pressure to maintain this happy facade, can take a toll on their overall well-being. Often they get chronically sick. Now, what I think is really interesting about smiling depression is the overlap with perfectly hidden depression. We previously did an entire episode with Margaret Rutherford about perfectly hidden depression. She wrote a whole book about it, which is a form of depression where people become hyperfixated on being perfect. They mask their depression with perfectionism. And you can listen to that episode in the show notes if you're wanting to learn more about that. So now let's talk about the hidden struggles of smiling depression. Smiling depression is not simply a case of putting on a brave face. It is a complex mental health condition that can have severe consequences if left untreated. While individuals with smiling depression may appear perfectly fine on the surface, they often battle with intense emotional pain behind closed door. Now, one of the hidden struggles of smiling depression is the constant pressure to maintain a happy facade. Society often expects individuals to be cheerful and positive and optimistic, making it really difficult for those people with smiling depression to express their true feelings. And this can lead to shame, guilt, a sense of being misunderstood. And additionally, they have this internal conflict because of the outward appearance of happiness and their inner turmoil. And that can be emotionally and mentally exhausting. Individuals with smiling depression often feel like they're living a double life, that they're fake, that they're, constantly hiding pain, they feel like they're lying. And that can take a full toll on their self-esteem, their mental well-being as well. Again, often they get medically sick in some way, get a chronic illness. And that's why I want to spread awareness of this, because it can be really hard to seek help if everything seems fine on the outside. They're often highly functioning. No one would know that they're having a hard time because they appear to be winning in every area of their life. And even then, that makes it so hard to raise their hand and say, I'm in trouble. Now, as you probably were thinking, there's a relationship between social media and smiling depression, because in today's digital age, social media has become an integral part of our lives. And while it has so many benefits, it's probably how I met some of you, it can also contribute to the development and exacerbation of mental health conditions such as smiling depression. Social media platforms often present a very distorted reality where everyone appears to be living their absolute best lives. But this constant exposure to curated and idealized versions of other people's lives can create a sense of inadequacy. It can create a sense of comparison for people with smiling depression. And that can make them feel like they're not living up to the standards set by others, which fuels their feelings of emptiness and sadness, and that they're not keeping up. This pressure pushes them to maintain this positive online presence where they continually feel overwhelmed. They continually put a smile on their face. And they even may be compelled to post even happier, upbeat content even when they're struggling so much. So as you can tell, this sort of perpetuates the cycle of hiding how they truly feel, feeling isolated from their online communities. Now, if this is true for you, try to remember that social media is almost always fake. It's not the real life of people you follow. I love seeing posts of people showing pictures of themselves looking absolutely glamorous. And then they actually show a picture of themselves crying just a few minutes before or after. And even though I hate that they're struggling, there are some people who are really showing what real life looks like behind the scenes. And I think we all need to remember that. And I really try my best to be as honest and transparent as I can so I don't contribute to that. Now, let's talk about coping strategies for people with smiling depression. While overcoming smiling depression can be a very challenging journey, there are coping strategies that you can use to navigate these inner struggles and hopefully find some relief. The first coping strategy is to practice self-care. This involves prioritizing your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. And you're doing that by listening right now. Engaging in activities that bring you joy, such as relaxation, exercise, hobbies, spending time in nature, these can all alleviate symptoms of depression. Building a routine with healthy habits, such as getting enough sleep and maintaining a balanced diet, can also help contribute to your depression management. Now, if you want to learn more about health routines for depressions, I would encourage you to listen to a recent episode we just did called Living with Depression, Daily Routines for Mental Wellness. I'll leave a link in the show notes if you're wanting to take a look at that. Now, seeking social support is another crucial coping strategy for individuals with smiling depression. Opening up to trusted friends, family members, and even more importantly, mental health professionals can provide a safe place to express emotions and receive support. Joining support groups or engaging in therapy sessions can also help individuals develop healthy coping mechanisms and learn how to actually be honest and share with others on how they've struggled and how they overcame this condition. Other self-care practices might involve mindfulness and self-reflection. This can be very beneficial and can involve being present in the moment, accepting your emotions without judgment, and exploring the underlying causes or reasons that they may be suffering with depression. You may want to try techniques such as meditation, journaling, or engaging in creative outlets can also be very helpful with promoting self-expression and emotional healing. And it's important to note that coping strategies may vary from person to person. What works for one person may not work for another, or maybe it may work for you one day and not another. And the key is to explore different techniques and find a personalized approach that best suits your needs and your preferences. Now, there are really great treatments for smiling depression. Now, and while coping strategies can be super helpful, it's important to acknowledge that smiling depression is simply still a term to describe a serious mental health condition that does require often professional intervention. And seeking help from a mental health professional, such as a therapist or a psychiatrist, can provide individuals with the necessary support and guidance to navigate their journey towards recovery. A mental health professional can help them with their depression by providing evidence-based treatments such as cognitive behavioral therapists. That's what I do. I'm a cognitive behavioral therapy, or medication. Now, to start, the main treatment goal is to offer a safe and non-judgmental space for the individual with smiling depression to express their emotions and come to terms with the fact that they are experiencing this depression and this pain, this keeping it a secret isn't working for them anymore. This can be really scary. And we have to remember that seeking mental health support is not a weakness. It's actually a courageous step towards healing. This guidance and support by a mental health professional can help them build a sense of strength and let them see that they don't have to keep it a secret anymore. CBT treatment, once we get through that, involves changing their thoughts, correcting any errors they may have in their thinking, changing their behaviors to ones that are more effective. CBT can be a compassionate approach that can help people find new coping techniques that are effective and kind and move them towards a long-term recovery and long-term healing. For those who don't have access to professional mental health care, if you're interested in learning new ways to manage your depression, you may want to consider our online course called Overcoming Depression, because, therapy can be expensive. Overcoming Depression is an on-demand online course that will walk you through the exact steps I take my clients through when they come to me wanting help for depression. I will first help you fully understand the science of why you have depression and what's going on in your brain. And then during the course, I teach you all of the tools that I use to help you create a plan so that you can overcome your depression as well. Treatment for depression often involves learning a lot about self-compassion and mindfulness. And these skills can help you manage have these very strong emotions and any depressive thoughts that you may have. Now, again, in the course, I will teach you how to correct the errors in your thinking. I'll help you create a schedule that will help you reduce overwhelm and hopelessness. We go over how to increase your motivation to get things done, all the things you need to get done in the day in a way that's compassionate and kind. We have printouts, video trainings, it's all in there. So if you're interested in that, you can go to cbtschool.com/depression. Now, just remember, the course is not therapy. Think of it as a home study course that will show you the exact steps that you would take if you were in smiling depression treatment. Now, support systems are also really important. It's so important if you have smiling depression to find a support system that will guide you and help you as you recover. Having a network of people who are understanding and empathetic can provide validation and a sense of belonging. It can help you counteract those feelings of isolation. And support can come in various forms. It doesn't have to be a support group. It could include friends, family members, support groups, online communities, even social media, even though we talked about how that can be problematic as well. One thing to remember here is you must reach out. You must ask for help. You must have the courage to share your experience. And even if it's just a little bit to start, and then start to seek support. Additionally, it's crucial for the loved ones to educate themselves about smiling depression. And hopefully this will be a resource for them as well, because they need to understand the unique challenges faced by those who suffer. By learning about the condition, they can then provide necessary support and validation. They can help the individual feel heard and understood and less alone, because as I said, a huge degree of shame comes along with this condition. Now, to conclude, hidden depression is a hidden battle. It affects many millions of people every year, and they're usually struggling with an intense emotional pain and isolation.